That is cool.
I'm not usually in a room with so many people managers. Like, the concentration is quite high right now, and you're all smiling. Something seems off. Okay. Okay. So, people managers, are you using AI to manage your team? Yes, sort of. How?
AI is not watching you right now.
Yeah.
You can raise your hand.
All right, helping with those performance reviews. Yeah. This is like ChatGPT, make this sound professional, turn it into paragraphs, that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. Don't lie, we all do a little bit of that. Yeah, how about you? Yeah, deep research, those kinds of tools, absolutely. So what you're going to find about today's session, and if you did a little research of your own on our panelists, you probably figured this out already. We're not going to talk so much about the tech today as we are about the people and the people challenge. There are lots of folks who are deep in the technical stuff, and some of you probably are too. But the part of this that we think is kind of interesting here is how we tease apart the stuff that the humans just need to keep doing and owning and taking responsibility for, that AI is never going to take away from us. So that when we go to use AI, we use it to augment our impact, not hand it off. So you'll hear things as we get into it tonight, and I'm very excited for what you're going to hear from our three fabulous panelists, because they each have some really distinct perspective. Think about two things as we go through the conversation. What's a question you really want to ask, but you're afraid to ask? And then ask it anyway. The other is, and this might take you till the end, what's one thing you can do differently to leverage AI to help you to be more effective as a manager? Not an easy answer necessarily, but think about it. And it might even be one thing to stop doing the way you're doing it and do it a little differently. But think about it. With that, though, let's meet our panel. We have Alireza, Melissa, and Paul. And I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And I'll have to run microphones in. So take it away, Alireza.
No, do we need the microphones? I don't think so. Yeah. So I'm Alireza. I met some of you and had a chance to chat with you a little bit. So I'm the CEO and founder at Catch Up AI. I've been in software industry like throughout the whole CLC for the last 17 years. I did my PhD in computer science, moved to organizational change management, and have been helping organizations to flatten out. That means like getting business closer to ICs and help the alignment between leadership and individual contributors. And then at some point I said, I wanna stop doing that and replace myself with AI. So now we built something that is helping leadership and business get closer to ICs. And before starting this, I was working at Age of Learning. If you've heard of ABC Mouse, if you've ever had kids, like ABC Mouse was something that we built. I helped launching several products there, working with them. It was amazing. And then I left it to start Catch Up AI.
Hi, my name's Melissa Beatty. I'm super excited to be here. I love community gatherings. I do see this as a community, so thank you for letting me join you today. My background, I've been working in human resources in lots of different capacities over the last 2 decades. I'm currently with Site Improve as the VP of HR Effectiveness and Delivery, and I also have a consulting business at the same time. And in the last couple of years, I've been able to really focus on how to build human-centered people systems while considering how AI can be a force multiplier with that environment. And so I've had some playtime in the last couple of years, and I'm starting to really formulate my thinking on it. So really excited to be here and a part of this conversation.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Paul Howard. I am a specialist in the neurobiology of belonging and performance. And if there's one thing that I can toss out to you, It's don't lose in the AI thing, but more importantly, don't lose your humanity in the process. It's very pressing. It shows up in the work that I do with people. I focus on how you stay and how our neurobiology functions to make us higher performing. It's really easy to think that efficiency in AI can bring us to a space where we're going to do a lot more. More often than not, we're actually losing our performance edge. So I want you to keep your performance edge of being human and still play with the technology. Often I'm asked, so what's your take on AI? And my answer is, I'm John Connor, and I just like to play with the Terminator. So I'm here to just talk about how to stay human while playing with it and having it reduce the friction that's in our way as we're trying to really get shit done.
You know, as we talked earlier this week to prep for today, I was thrilled to see how aligned we were around this notion of the human problem coming first.
Yeah.
And so on the side, I teach a little bit, and one of the things I always harp on with my product students, Amy's product students, because we teach together, is start with the problem, right? Don't go reverse engineer a problem from the stuff you want to build. We will sometimes do that anyway, but really start with the problem. And I think it's important for any of us who are in the business of driving team effectiveness, because we're not going to ever find a piece of technology that makes it so we don't have to deal with that problem at all, right? And so I guess where I'd love to start here, and I think I'm going to go to Melissa first on this one, if that's okay, because you're deep in HR management, as well as coaching and consulting. Can you talk to us about what you see as being the big manager-employee engagement challenge? Like what makes that hard?
Yeah.
And without bringing any technology into it, like what do we need to understand about that problem?
Yeah, great question. And I think where I would start, and as I've been pondering, I think globally we fundamentally had a major event happen, which was COVID-19. And since COVID, we've had an acceleration or an experience of an acceleration of change. And that has impacted the engagement of our employees in the work environment and impacted us as people leaders leading those employees. And fundamentally, the theme that I'm seeing is that engagement has gone down. And I think when engagement goes down, that human connection suffers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think how it plays out is the quality of our relationships in the work environment, the quality of our conversations with each other. And it's, in my mind, very simple, which is relationship drives everything in the work environment and within people systems. And that's where I think we're seeing that lack of engagement and disengagement. In some ways that impacts our day-to-day. And so sometimes you're thinking, why does it feel so hard right now? And couple that with the idea that humans really struggle with change in general. We do like things to be the same. And I've done a lot of change management in my career, and even the best change is scary and disruptive. And so when you take all of those pieces together, you really see that playing out in the workplace right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It occurs to me we should probably define what we mean by engagement.
Yes.
And Paul, this might be a good one for you to jump in because of your work around belonging and performance.
So
how do we define employee engagement?
This is going to be a shameless plug at the moment. So engagement, if we take that, so there's the measurable endpoint of engagement, which is what most people think about, as opposed to engaging in with somebody, which is the action that one would take. And if we look at the biggest problem that we have is, and it's crazy because there's a study done, it's a 25 million submission study done by Indeed and Oxford University, Jan Emanuel Benet. And they wanted to find out, in workplace well-being, and I'll tie this directly with the engagement thing, what is it that makes you well Because guess what? Have you ever seen a professional athlete that plays well when they're hurt? No, because we're technically, we got force disengaged. In other words, we could just go out and relate because we had the fear of we're going to kill our loved ones. Take that even more so. You guys are all watching me talk. My mouth is going. Sounds are coming out. If I go like this and I continue talking with you, it is really hard for you actually to hear me because a lot of your hearing is visually watching my face and my lips move. We wore a mask for so long that how we engaged with each other actually started defeating how our brains look for, and this is the space here, how our brains actually process. We feel, we own, and we care for each other. And in belonging, we do that in successes, dreams, and failures. That all got pushed aside, and so we stopped belonging. And you guys have seen the study by Vivek Murthy. He used to be the Surgeon General, the loneliness epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, work stayed in the isolating space. And I will say this, remote work helps create that isolation. It's great, it's comfortable at times, and you get to do things. But that whole process has left us without the interaction like I was like, oh, we can do a live event? This is great. We get to talk, we get to see each other. And our brains respond and get the right neurochemical set. Without that engagement, that lacks. Without that, you lose the performance enhancement of two neurochemicals, oxytocin, which by the way is a performance chemical, not just a love chemical, and serotonin. So we lost that, and that left us where we are with lower output engagement in the process. Now, the answer is the 25 million person study. My buddy Mark Crowley sent me a thing. He goes, you have to read this. The number one driver that was derived from the study, which made me really happy because I've been working on belonging for 20, 30 years, was the people reported it was that they belong made them the healthiest and the best performers. So that's the shift. And I'm going to bring it to the AI aspect. And this might actually be really cool if Al reads this stuff with what he's working on. Is if we use the technology, the AI, so that we can actually engage, I'll stay in that frame, we can get back to generating and creating the healthy neuro-emotional spaces for us, which makes us higher performing, creates way better output. We get to function like Navy SEALs, or if we want to use the winning U.S. Women's World Cup winning soccer team. They had incredible belonging, but they had to engage and they had to have systems in place that allowed them to be in that engagement. Is that a decent setup?
I think this is an important thing, and if I can maybe get out the big crayons and try to say in plain terms what I think you're getting at there, Paul, it's we're inherently social creatures, and in order to perform at our best, we need one another.
Yeah.
If not for feedback, for a sense of almost like our orientation.
It's the I got your back.
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask questions of the group?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so most of you were actual people managers, right? How many of you were like, I know this is the right thing to do, and I want to do it, but oh damn, I can't really do that? Raise your hand. I'm a former VP of people. I've been in that situation, right? Okay, to what you're saying, when somebody has your back, when you are theirs and they are yours, you won't even hesitate to make that decision because you know it's the right decision. And that's not transactional. That's the relational.
Yeah, that brings forward a quote I remember from The Wisdom of the Bullfrog, also from the Navy SEAL world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The author said something along the lines of, in life and in work, the things that we say are complicated aren't really that complicated. It's not complicated to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Yes.
And it, when we don't have the cohesion in the groups that we're a part of, it's hard to know, can I trust this group to back me up when I reckon with this hard thing?
Yeah.
when I have this hard conversation. Anyone been through like crucial conversations training? Roll your eyes now, please. Okay. Yeah. There's this thing called the fool's choice. You remember that? It's like you have to choose between telling the truth. Oh, you know what? I might be mixing this with radical candor, but I think it is crucial conversations. It's this idea that you either have to lie to the person to preserve the relationship, or you have to risk burning down the relationship because you said something that was true that they didn't want to hear. They call it the fool's choice because it's not true. And when you do it, you actually push yourselves apart without saying it.
Yeah.
Because you're creating a wedge that is now this thing that can't be named.
Mm-hmm.
They say politics at work is when no one says the thing out loud that everyone sees. The way you build that trust back is to do the hard thing, right? To lean in on the conflict or the disagreement.
That's right.
But I guess for me, when I think about my time as a manager, when it comes to like team performance or employee performance, the stuff that was always really hard for me was the thing I knew I needed to do a quality job on, but I didn't have time to slow down, I thought. Not true, but I thought. Or it was just uncomfortable. And, as we start to move in the direction of talking about AI solutions that are out there, and that's where we're going to go to Alireza, I would have loved for there to be something that I could say, well, just let the AI do it, right? But I feel like what you're saying about cultivating that sense of belonging, it's like, imagine employees being handed off to an AI in a way that feels like it's a way of dispensing with them rather than helping them, right? I think this gets to the crux of like your insights, Ollie. I'd love to hear more about your journey and how you came to develop an AI solution to address some of frankly, the fairness issues that I think can arise in teams where managers are maybe given a little attention here but not there, or they're spread too thin, or they're just inconsistent. Can you tell us more about that?
One thing about that is a lot of managers, especially when it comes to like technical managers, and technical means in software, in QA, in architecture, anything. They're trained for life to be technical. They spend their whole career learning software engineering, architecture, QA. But then when it comes to people management, they are just thrown to do that, never got trained about it. So that fairness is not coming from they don't want to do it, they just don't know it well. And when you don't know something well, unless you're really dedicated, you will not push yourself to do it. So that's where AI can do. And then one thing we were doing, we had so many managers in our company. We had this training. We said like 2 times a year, let's do a performance reviews. And then I was thinking we should do 360 reviews, but we had only 2 HR business partners. We had the managers didn't know how to do even those 2 times. And then we got into meetings trying to train them how to do that 2 times at least. And one manager raised their hand and said, can we do it just 1 time a year? Because I'm too busy. So I agree with you that fairness is not there. You mentioned the radical candor and all that. We kind of hacked through the radical candor, and it's not just AI. We use positive psychology. So if you use positive psychology and constantly giving people positive feedback about things they do, anything good they do, if you do it enough, then every time you don't do it without knowing, they feel like, okay, something wrong might be going on. And if you build that culture, as people give each other positive feedback, if everyone keep doing that, as they give that positive feedback, hey, Adam did really good moderations, and then you start thinking, what did he do so that made him a good moderator? Should I do that as well? Like that's the learning you do. So those are things that you can do. So radical candor, how many people have heard about radical candor? So radical candor usually is really, really hard to implement because it's a hard conversation. And there is a line between being that not saying anything to look good or saying that. But AI doesn't have that feeling. But sometimes the problem that we had is the AI can go and be really harsh at people. We had this conversation earlier with some of you that a manager does 3 different things. They observe, hear, they look at people, see that person always say their opinion, their ideas. That person does really great coding, they understand it. They start analyze it and they say, okay, for that person, let me go read a book or read something and come back and help them with communication. With that person, I know coding, so maybe I can pair with them and help them with that. But that first cannot be fair completely. Second, I go in that meeting about communication, that person comes out crying. That's what I did first. Like, one of the people I was managing the first time, we sat down, that person came to me, said, I want to get some, comp review and get a promotion. And I was not agreeing with that. And I was talking to them, and I'm usually a little bit poker face when I'm talking with people. And after that, a colleague told me, what did you tell this person? She was crying afterward. So delivering that might not be the best way. So these are the things you can, if AI does it right, they can do it better than 80% of managers.
Yeah. And in some ways, it's a way of helping the managers learn as well, right?
By doing.
Yeah.
So by leading. So leading by example. So the AI is doing leading by example. The manager is there seeing it and see the result and can correct it, can supervise it from the human point of view. But when it comes to, hey, I should have did these many years of studies, these many years of training. AI has those trainings, so can do a lot of them. Just needs a nudge from the human being, from that human side, so it can do a better job.
Yeah. Before we move on from the radical candor piece, one thing that I have heard mentioned in some organizations is that sometimes radical candor gets weaponized a little bit and kind of misused. I don't know if anyone's
Just a little?
seen
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I remember when I was at Microsoft, we had this thing called PQA. Any old Microsofties remember that? Decision, question, and answer. It was basically a way for executives to interrogate subordinates without any fluff. It really it was everything except for the bare light bulb and the pliers. I still have the one pager on my corkboard to remind me not to talk to people that way. But I think with radical candor, it can sometimes, put truth or the appearance of truth on a pedestal, sacrificing all other things, including any measure of trust that existed before.
Brutal honesty is neither honest or nothing. It's just wrong. There's an interesting aspect of bringing up this idea of candor, and since you're people managers, is from a neurobiological standpoint, when you're going to hear me say belonging, it might as well be a drinking game, sorry. But there we go. When we're in a good state of belonging, you can actually hear the you suck, dude, or you suck, dudette.
Yeah.
You can hear that, and it's okay. And this is where I'll say that how you set your workplace up and your environment, if you create the space of belonging, then you can say the thing like, okay, I've heard this is me going through. I'm the VP of people, and turns out I was being a bit of a dick. And I'm the head of the people stuff. And my CEO goes, hey, Paul, how about you knock that crap off and get back in the game? You're being a dick. And I went, oh, God, he's right. Oh. Now, some people would say that's radical candor. But the context defines it as, I'm inviting you back to be in good belonging. That is a different state, and it's high power, because this is what says, come back into the tribe and perform at the level that you can. Now that's where I'd say, from a radical candor
I think we might have a question in the back.
Oh.
I was just going to make a statement. I think, so, when, because I do consulting, I think what's mostly misunderstood or left out within the belonging space or in the space is you can belong, but at the same time, you have to bring your whole healthy self.
Yes.
And not only just bring your whole healthy self, you have to understand each person has a culture and a subculture that they're bringing in, like what culture, what subculture they're bringing into their culture. And so I think we miss out on times that most people have spaces where they're very manipulative. They have a lot of behavior patterns because they literally act like kids, but then they have adult bodies. So we are not addressing that. And so that's why I guess when I do my coaching, I don't say it in that way, but I say it in a tone in a way that connecting with people who have not healed their inner child self. So they're behaving on what I call, they have a lack of what I call social emotions, like psychological intelligence. So the psychological part of development is not there. They have the built bodies. And so having to go through all this with like the actual manager, like the executive or the leader, and actually having them to unpack it for themselves and have them unpack it for their actual team members. It's kind of sort of, it's, to me, I have to help them to understand. It seems like it's exhausting, but once you go through the period of understanding kind of baseline, and everyone is on the same actual, everybody's on the same level of saying, I can't get away with the behaviors I've been behaving in, then you get to the place of everyone is adulting.
And I love that because I often will, when I'm talking to people leaders, they'll say, oh, it's exhausting, it takes so much time. You're gonna put the time in. It's just a matter of where you're gonna put the time in. And I love your point, which is put the time in early and build that early, so then you're not putting it in at the end, and it's just you don't end up in as productive of a place.
Because the manager then is going to take on all of the energy of the actual individual being in a place where they are low functioning.
Yeah.
And so that's when you get tired, you tire out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Managers, remember what it was like the first year of COVID? How exhausting it was to support your people while they were freaking out. And you had, well, you were also freaking out,
We were
but you
all
had to sort of
freaking
like
out.
keep a little bit of a lid on it. Like it was like a strategic amount of freak out to let them see. Yeah. I'm curious for those in the room who would be willing to share, like, how do you manage that strain for yourself? What do you do to release it? Racket sports? Yelling into a coffee can?
Pickleball, is that what you were saying?
Squash? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were kind of joking about the racket sports, but exercise,
Yeah.
Right?
absolutely. Like, Lily, if you ever see me post on Slack, I'm going for a walk, that means I'm stressed out and I need to do something about it. It works for me.
Yeah.
Gives me some perspective, time breathing, burns off some chemicals that I don't know the name of.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, this is cool. Your legs, when they flex, release a chemical. It's a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. It is the chemical that allows your synapses to clean and rebuild while you're doing this. So you are walking and making yourself technically way more healthy.
Yeah. So that walk after lunch is actually a really good thing.
It's really a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Over there.
Your question, I support a lot of people as a coach. I'm not a people manager, but I support people.
Yeah.
So it does get quite heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that most helps me is my own work in terms of understanding myself and separating like the patterns that I have from the energy that they are showing. Because my default is to take like lots of responsibility on my shoulders as a recovering high achiever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then that is the
Sure.
thing that exhausts me.
Oh yeah.
Like trying to like fix everything for everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then like separating that out and getting support to operate outside of that place. And then really being there for people, then that becomes nourishing rather than a draining existence.
Yeah.
One thing.
No, go ahead, please.
Sorry. One thing I want to add about when it comes to AI, human being, no matter how much we want to do it, we cannot stay unbiased. From time to time, we are subjective, and our subjectiveness, like even radical candor, doesn't matter like what I think. I think something is right, I'm going to impose it to other people thinking that's radical candor. It doesn't matter that, like, especially if I'm a coach, I think something is good, I learned it's good, but maybe it's different from this person to the other person. What AI does much better than most of the managers is that it has access to much more data. Think of one manager that is assigned only to one employee, can go to every meeting with them, can be writing code next to each one of them, understands them much better. and reacts to them without subjectiveness, without being tired or angry or happy. Like how many times you want to go and talk to your boss and you don't know which mood they are. Did they get their
Which
coffee
meeting did
if
they
I
just
am
come
going
out
to?
of? Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So those are some of the things. And neutral, it's something that doesn't have that bias and subjectiveness, can bring in, and then add the subjectiveness on top of it, but informed one. Like, when a manager, a boss is making a decision, that's informed, not just based on something they saw when they were angry or they were happy. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, but with AI, they don't have human divinity. Human divinity allows us, when we are whole, allows us to actually figure out in that moment. Because AI can't adjust because of the timing or see the actual, like, what's happening. You can tell it, and it's from your reality. But if you don't have meta consciousness, where you're able to, like, actually go back and do an analysis on your own, like, thinking and how you just showed up in that space. So again, it's that plugging in yourself. You have to plug in so you can actually go out. So I would say, you always go in so you don't have to go without. And not only that, but being in a place where you're able to, how do I put this? Being in a place where you're able to dissect, like, again, and it takes a lot of work, because again, you have to, like, be in that place of saying, okay, I want to, it's not about not being biased, because it's like you're gonna be biased. If you keep checking in with yourself, you're not gonna have that bias, because, like, you're trying to go on all levels of, like, say for instance, maybe it's specific. Like, when I have a client and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with me because I'm tuned in, and I don't hear anymore. I channel. The thing about channeling it, and I know yourself being in divine, being in your human affinity, you're able to tap in. And, like, sometimes when you're in a space, I'm good at connecting with energies. So if I'm connecting with someone's energy in front of me, I'm able to actually feel what's going on. And understanding my feelings between their feelings, understanding that you're not going to throw your energy on me and, like, help me to actually transmute it. So, I mean, I know you got to do what you're saying. But, again, when you're in your human divinity, this is not spirituality, this is, like, just being a human and understanding how you ascend in life. Instead of staying in a low functioning space, you're able to check in with yourself and the world around you in a way that is not harmful, but in a way that heals yourself and other people. Heal other people. And, like, you're gonna create a space where you're gonna ascend, you're gonna want to bring everyone else with you. The ones that don't want to ascend with you, you cannot pull them with you.
I think this makes a really good point that there are certain things that the humans have to do because the machines will not, right?
Yeah.
And, whether it's human intuition or really being present, like you're describing, that is irreplaceable. Irreplaceable.
I love this.
Irreplaceable. We need it, right? It's a good thing to be passionate about, and I appreciate your thoughts there. I want to take the conversation to talk about AI tools because we'd be remiss if we didn't go there. Melissa, I'm going to go to you again on this one to start. In your work, both as an HR leader and as a consultant working with other HR leaders, what are you seeing working at helping people managers to be more effective when they leverage AI?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this. We had a prep conversation last week, and I've just been mulling it over. And the question in that conversation was, what's minimally required, or what should I think about minimally as a people leader? And I've been really ruminating on that. And I thought about, what are the top 5 things that are important to me from my people leader? The first is knowing what really matters, meaning I can prioritize what's coming at me. The second is that my people leader will help me block and tackle when there's challenges or blockers. The third is being treated fairly within the people system. The fourth is that my work is seen, and that the fifth is that I am seen as a human. And so when I thought about that, what I can say is all the conversations over the years that I've had with employees, although the words change, they're generally somewhere in that vicinity. You might call it something different, there might be some variation, but at its core, that's what we want from our people leaders. And when I think about the opportunity with AI, I think there's two things that I'm seeing that work really well. One is, of course, the administrative burden that we all experience, and getting that off of our plates. And there's lots of different ways to do it, wonderful options out there. The second, though, is as a people leader, having an AI to help you reflect and become more self-aware. And I've seen it done in lots of different ways. Right now, I'm in the season of performance management, and so a lot of people leaders are using prompts to have reflective conversations as they think about either their themselves as a people leader, but also how do I think about and how do I begin to give quality feedback to my employees. And I'm seeing that it's an exercise of 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be a very long, drawn out process, but there's a lot of goodness coming out of that. And so when you get into those conversations with your employee, the people leader feels very well prepared because they've done quick self-reflection, and the AI helps them come forward with very actionable feedback. So that's one example, but those are the two areas that I'm just seeing a lot of goodness coming out of AI.
Taking that brute force and then almost like a better version of journaling or whiteboarding, right? To externalize
and that
those
interactive,
ideas.
being asked questions and having to answer the question. It's almost like having a conversation and in a safe space.
Yeah, preparing.
Yeah. So.
Anyone do that? Prepare for a hard conversation using kind of AI as a practice tool? Yeah, absolutely. Lovely.
I just wanted to add a couple of things to that, and I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the things that I really enjoy about AI, and coming back to kind of self-reflection and, is there another approach to this, is I love that positive bias that AI generates. Like, it doesn't matter if it's challenging, like I had to let somebody go recently, like it's going to help, frame it in a way that gives me so many other ways of delivering something. And I think coming back to what you were saying, helps you remove some of that, the way I would approach it or my own bias. It helps to, in some ways, neutralize that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it brings it back to, Paul, what you were saying about at the end of the day, I think the one thing that as people managers or as employees, when you're working with people, one thing that AI cannot provide and will not ever be able to replace is empathy. Having empathy for your fellow employees, for yourself, I think is huge. One of the things that we had done in our org, our leader you may have heard with the 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Yeah.
So that exercise of just that trust building exercise, that first one, and many of us are, like I'm a manager and I'm remote. Some of my people are all in one office together, and so that hybrid breakdown can be a little bit challenging to manage because sometimes I'm not there. I'm kind of missing out on the water cooler talks and what's really happening. But when we were in a room together, we were able to just do that trust exercise, and I noticed some of my own biases that I had going in, and I was like, okay, that person isn't aloof, that person isn't, holding the cards close to his chest. I now have a better perspective of where he's coming from, and it just opened up, remove that bias. So I just wanted to add those.
I love all of those examples.
Yeah. So I'm going to stir the pot a little bit here because Lillian mentioned, you love the kind of the positive frame that a lot of conversational AI brings. Anyone feel like it's a little hard dealing with the quote unquote sycophancy with your local AI tool? Yeah. All right. And the coach no less. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Too agreeable.
too agreeable. Disagree with me more. I mean, can you fix that with a prompt? I'm not sure.
You can.
One of the things that I've been doing is because when you're just doing a single prompt, it's hard to put all the context. And so I find to get better information, you create more of a system, create more like knowledge bases to put into it. So that it's not just thinking about, oh, what my blood sugar is today.
Right.
It's just me. But if you're working with a team, if you had like profiles of all team members.
Yeah.
Here's everybody's
figure out
blood
what they're
sugar.
doing, what they're supposed to be doing, and then this is what I'm doing right now. And then you talk about, oh, this is a project that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And you can analyze it better.
Yeah.
And then you would want it to. One of the things I try to do is ask the AI to fight me. To say like, okay, I had this idea, but maybe it's because me today. Or
Talk me
maybe it's
out of
because
this.
we're just
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are the other things that, what's the framework that we
Yeah.
think about? Because you're making a decision, and a lot of these things for people are so emotional.
Sure.
So you want to separate, like, what's the fact and what's the emotion. You have on and go parts of that, but it's always hard. And I've noticed sometimes when I ask a question, they give me one answer, but they're like, oh, I didn't give all the other context, and then it flips.
Mhm.
Because you put all the context into the context.
Yeah.
I forgot. You didn't talk about all the things.
One of the things I've noticed is when I really push the AI tool I'm using, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, and it actually does give me some guff, I don't always like it. I don't always like it. And usually times when I really don't like it, it's when it says something that's probably pretty spot on.
Yeah.
You want to make a coach real mad, like try to coach them when they haven't given you permission. Like,
One thing I want to add is when we say AI, there's one thing ChatGPT, everyone is familiar with you and we use that. But one part is you just mentioned, like context. Like if we use AI to look at data and make sense out of that data and does an action based on that data, there is it's not gonna, data never lies. So it doesn't go ahead change that data towards something you like. It just gets unbiased, objective, factual things and make decision very factual and logically based on that. When you're a human being, ChatGPT is trained that it's working with human beings, so it needs to be positive. So you need to make that. One thing, for example, we did, we said, okay, managers write performance review. I think somebody was saying performance reviews. It's very hard for managers to do. Some managers spend hours and hours and one-on-ones to write theirs. Some managers just write one line, goes to HRs, and HR rejects it and come back and all that. So in a company, assume you have 5 different departments, and then each department gets their bonuses based on the reviews, and one manager is very critical, look at everything, and another manager is like, everyone is awesome, let's go. The ChatGPT of managers. So that's something that AI should solve for us. Something that brings that consistency, so it's fair for everyone, connects to the data that it has. Like people are going to meetings together. People are writing code and collaborating their codes with each other. People are sending messages, contribute and respond to questions people ask. People are working with tickets and start a ticket, finish it. Those are data about individuals. With managers, almost never a manager could go get hold of.
Too much brute force.
Too much, yeah.
So for you guys with Ketchup, what kinds of signals are you bringing in terms of those behavioral events or actions? The things that aren't just the conversations.
So, for example, we look at all the meetings that it's involved, it went to. We find out, this individual is talking, contributing in the discussion when there's a question. Here are the tones that we see. Here is how concise they are. You probably all of you have been in meetings that one person take over the meeting and takes the whole time of the meeting, and the other person never talks. So those type of things. But then now you can go associate with this individual never talks in meetings, never contributes in the Slack, but if somebody mentions them, they respond right away, and they go to their Git and submit their codes very frequently. Very great engineer, a little bit shy. So I can help this individual get better in contributing. I can give them one exercise to do. Next time before a meeting, just prepare one question to ask, because I've been an introvert. So when I wanted to ask a question, constantly thinking, should I ask this? People are going to judge me. How I can help them? So AI can know this data and come help this individual. I never see a manager can go to that much detail to make that help.
Well, and frankly, if our managers were doing that, we'd be creeped out by the attention they were getting.
Big-
Yeah, exactly.
Big
Yeah.
managers watching us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to try to paraphrase what what you've designed for your company. And I think, and I can't remember your name, sorry. Yeah,
Lovely.
Lovely, sorry, Lovely. We'll make judgments based upon an instant that we have. As a matter of fact, we formulate that in the moment that we start having a mirror neural response. That's just neural bullshit, BS, sorry. But it sets a tone and it sets a filter of glasses. And if we have that, and say we've got an employee that's done something, and it's late in the day, it's after 3, you guys know the judge effect. The later in the day you are, the more people you convict. It's actually true.
Yes.
So one of the cool things is the product Katie made, and this is not to be an advertisement, but it calculates and pulls data from different spots so that by the time you're going to make an evaluation, you have a bunch more actual data that's been gathered that you're not going to gather because I'm in this physical body, I'm nowhere near somebody, they're in a Zoom room somewhere else. So by getting the ability to have that, and by the way, I'm not anti-bias. I think that's a mistake. You do not want to remove bias. You want to get rid of crappy biases. There's 2 different things. You all think we should all learn, right? You all have a bias for learning. Is a bias for learning bad? Only when it prevents you from being human. Okay, so the whole point is, if we can gather data and pull that together, we can use that to be maybe more human in the space. And that's one of the reasons I loved doing that a while ago on that. Because that's one of the things I walked away from. Because now, instead of going, oh God, I don't want to do the review on this person, you can go, all right, let's see the stuff I haven't seen. Now, at that point, instead of going, tell me what I'm seeing, you can say, give me a gathering, and you can start connecting the dots yourself and stay on the human side. Like I said, the thing I want you to leave here with is play with the AI. Terminator, yeah, I don't care. I'm John Connor, I'm going to play with the AI. Play with the AI because it's going to show you some things that you're not going to see, because while we're great at processing high focus and deep relationships with each other, we're not that good in taking a ton of aggregate data and figuring that out, unless you're like Carl Sagan or something like that. But so use that, because that allows us to see the human that much more. Just don't give up the ability to see the human because you gifted it to AI.
So if we take that a step further, what I'm hearing you say is use the AI for those things that it can do.
Yeah.
And recognize when to stop and do your own thinking.
But the sycophants, you've been bringing up the sycophants. Has AI given you something that you know is just like, that ain't true? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so, go ahead.
I would even flip it, right?
Start with what you know
Yeah.
to inform the AI, and then, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, what have I missed?
Yeah.
Go that way
Yeah.
versus going blank and saying,
Oh,
"Here is all
interesting.
the data,
Yeah.
what I should do."
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah. I mean, and if I imagine a conversation with a really well-informed AI that's looking at behavioral signals from company data, so I say, employee A seems like they're pretty quiet. What should I do about this? Seems like they're disengaged. And the AI says, well, have you looked at how much they're producing? Have you looked at this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting
I like
idea.
that.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is like like it came all from a story that I saw. Like, I know it might take a little bit of time, but I had this UX designer coming to my meeting. I was running the Center of Excellence in AI, and this like people from different backgrounds were coming. One of them was a UX designer who was senior, very good in what they do. Everyone agreed. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, I was talking with this HR business partner. I was the VP at the time, so I was talking with different people. I said, yeah, this person, this UX designer, we are letting go. And I was like, what happened? And say, hey, like, the director said they're not doing good. Their performance went down. I talked with the director, and then what do you think he said? He said, yeah, she's getting married for the last months. She's been preparing, and she's very stressed. So she was not performing very well. I said, did you tell her earlier? He said, no, I didn't want to add more stress. So like, you're letting this person go. What do you mean? And this was a senior director with years of experience as a manager. So that was one of the triggers for me. the employees need to understand much earlier how the company perceives them, because you have your own perception of yourself. You might go to imposter syndrome or think a lot about yourself, never see the problems, but you're not in a good state. So what AI can do is having that data factually, gather data from people about you, 360 reviews, but much easier now, give you that before it times for someone to wants to do performance reviews, promotions, so you can act on it. And it can give you things to work based of. You can help you like, hey, this is not missing. And then when the manager is making decisions, shows them the trend. This person was improving in these things rather than this is their status. Go make your decision. So
Yeah.
I just love that, Alireza, because we are saying that how AI can help the people managers, but it's also actually have a lot of potential to help the individuals and the employees.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things, and we were talking about it last week, is, at Google, they asked Gemini who should we promote and why, and then it just gave a name of an individual that none of them actually knew or worked on, but
Yeah,
were
right.
actually performing and overperforming. So there's a lot of potential there, and how valuable it would be, because one of the most important feedback you get during performance reviews is that, hey, I wish I'd known this before. I wish you didn't wait a year to tell me that this is what I lack. If I had known the first month, I would have performed.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's a huge value add.
We have to move on, but the question for everybody: can you think of a time when you saw an employee in your organization that was put on a PIP who shouldn't have been because they should have gotten the help they needed earlier? Yeah. Happens everywhere. Happens everywhere.
AI can, I feel that AI can make us make great decisions, but it also depends on what is the context required to make the decision right. Because like, AI has access to all the data. It's easier said than done. User experience, because data has facets, right? And I'm using AI, I'm feeding this data, and I'm trying to have a conversation post that with the agent. My team is also doing the same thing. At the end, we are kind of generating content that is based on the same set of same data facets. So that can actually push in the bias by itself.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happening, and I'm like, okay, let's scale back.
Yeah, slow down a little.
See how we can change these data facets from time to time, so that we are not kind of getting into that same spiral.
Yeah. What's that word? It's not recursive, like, but when the AI starts to degrade because it's sort of like breathing its own oxygen.
AI Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take this to like. Oh, go ahead.
Curious on current state of AI maturity. Gathering data. AI likes data. Feed it every Slack message, every email, every meeting where it transcribes things, every geolocations, how long everyone's been in the bathroom for a minute today. More data,
I just saw that
better. Where are we in terms of the slope, in terms of more data is adding value? At some point, I imagine it plateaus. It may even eventually fall off the back end of the cliff at some point in time. Are we still raising in the types and volume of data we can feed into AI and extract value from it, or are we at an inflection point in that curve?
I would say junk in, junk out. So if you garbage in, garbage out, like you give it like the right data, it's gonna. If I go to my chat GPT and say green is a great color, next day green is fantastic, green is the best color. If I keep doing that, like next time I ask them what is the best like thing to buy, it's gonna be green,
I mean,
right?
Valid. Like it sounds like you're reading every Slack message and every email and transcribing every meeting.
Not everything. Everything that the manager can see. Yeah.
There, but that maybe is another factor. But I've had a lot of employees worried that they are being tracked with their badges and we're timing their bathroom breaks. They're concerned about that.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that data, but that would be more data, usage of resources and company equipment. How many pieces of paper did you print? Like those are valid sources of
Mhm.
data from a certain mindset.
Yeah, I was training, like I have this Scrum Masters reporting to me at some point, and I had this Scrum Master who used to write every single piece of data in Excel sheet, like, we started this ticket here, the subtask finished here, this take too much, like, then this huge Excel files for a whole year. I asked her, did you ever go back to them? No, but the people on the team has always thought they were tracked. So like my thing is always only gather the data you need. A lot of companies gather data just for the sake of gathering, and later maybe at some point they might use it. That's something people do. But what my strategy is, if you don't, because that's the thing. If I'm tracking people too much, there was this company that was like having this thing on the hardware on each laptop to figure out how people are going to meeting, how productive they are, and people stopped using it. So if I'm doing that, and I mentioned in that call, the prep call, it should add value to every single layer for it to work, for individuals, for managers, for the leaders, and for the business. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So if you gather data that you don't need, why would you do that? And it's just add more complexity, more cost for infrastructure, all that, and people don't trust it. I agree with you. It should not happen. What I'm saying, if I had manager, every employee got a manager who can help them whenever they need. What that manager needed. They needed to see them in meetings with other people. They don't need to go read their one-on-one conversation. They can read the like a stack like channels and see how they are mentioning each other. It can go to the GitHub, see how their contribution to that. And those data is already available. If you have time, you go and read them. They're public data. You just don't have time. So those you can look. If something is like in individuals' data, you don't want to do that because that's you said, like people don't trust you anymore.
But to your point, there is a maturity journey here, right? Figuring out what should be in the index with what weighting. Makes me think about the last generation of this stuff, predictive analytics, before we were all talking about AI. And before that, we just called it regression analysis.
Yeah.
Remember those good old days?
I do.
Whew. And it wasn't more variables or more factors makes better regression. It's the right ones.
It's a really good question, man. I was wondering about that. I think to me it seems like AI is just an amplifier, but it basically amplifies positive things in the right direction and negative things in the other direction.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like, at some level, lands on the leadership chain to set the culture of the organization.
Yeah.
That sort of flows down. Right? So that can never be done by AI. At least it feels that way. I mean, never say never, but.
No, Diane, you can say never on this, and here's why I will say this. AI is text-based. Now, there is some visual stuff that is coming into play, and there's a whole new model on that. But the whole point is the way that we will talk and see each other is this beautiful state of a brain and perception that changes the whole neurochemical set to create positive, caring relationship. AI is a mathematical algorithm. It is a mathing predictability. I mean, if you have kids, do you go through and go, this is the most efficient way to do this, to have no, you have a kid and you're like, oh hell, this is what I'm going to do. I have to take care of my kid. Because it cares for you. Now, no matter how sweet the wording comes out, and ChatGPT as being the most beautiful sycophant you could ever have, it doesn't care for you. It's not going to go, hey, you really shouldn't do that. You're a dumbass. It's not going to do that because it doesn't have our ability, though it will feel like it. Now, granted, it also has the ability to go, hey, you didn't notice this, this, and this about this person who's actually doing a great job. Why the hell do you want to fire him? You can get that data, but we have to keep that human. And at this stage, until it can mirror how we as human beings actually relate and run towards the danger for each other. I mean, what was it, Claude, just recent with Anthropic? They said, they did a whole scenario. We're going to shut you down. Claude didn't say, well, you're going to shut me down for humanity's sake. It actually said, hey, I'm going to move all my stuff to this other branch of servers so that you can't shut me down. And then they did the experiment to verify some things, and it came up with some pretty creative ways to work around trying to be shut down. We don't do that. Has anybody here stood up for somebody, because you guys are all people managers. Somebody wanted to let somebody go. You said, no, that person's great. We don't want to do that. Has anybody ever done it? Raise your hand if you've done that. See that right there? That can't be replicated. I'm a Star Trek guy. I love data, but no, it ain't happening. So, but we can use the technology to better set us up, even when we're human and we make those mistakes, to help us get out of those mistakes. So that's where I would go with that.
Yeah. So let's bring this horse back to the barn and get back to some open networking. What's one example, and I'll love one for each of you if you want, of where you see that dividing line of what the human should hang on to and not outsource to the AI? And the one you shared, Paul, I think is a good one. What do you think?
I think it'll look differently as we continue to evolve, but I think it's that human connection and making sure that we're not isolating ourselves.
Right.
And how that human connection happens, I'm old enough to remember all the different changes that have happened. You know, I remember before the internet, I remember the internet, I remember all the things. I think AI is spectacular and really different, but we will adapt to it. So I think our engagement can evolve, but we need to make sure that we cherish the human connection. Whatever, I think it can look differently between, whatever your preferences are, but whatever that is, hold on to it. And make, this moment right now, me being in this room with all of you, I cherish this. And so I think that's the part we've got to hold on to.
Yeah. So to put it in practical terms, I can use an AI quite effectively to help me remember the birthdays of everybody on my team.
Yes.
But I'm not going to use the AI to wish them happy birthday.
Tell my person happy birthday.
Yeah, that's right. I'll use the AI to help me show up better.
Set up a party. Have AI.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That's such a good example.
It's like a CRM.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still me.
Yeah.
Saying happy birthday.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a really nice.
And hopefully meaning it also.
Yeah. Well, intention, I will say, is incredibly important. So you have to feel it and mean it.
It's got to be right.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Thank you. What do you think, Alireza?
So I think we can become much more powerful creature with AI. We don't have to stay. So that limit, I think that is going to change. The same thing when a human being found out, like built telephone, or like then the mobile devices, cell phones, like that made us more powerful creature. We could now do much more. So what if I use the manager? The manager becomes a super manager, because now they don't have to spend time doing things that AI can do. Now they can do much more. We become more creative because we have much more things that we can think about. A lot of times when I'm responding to an email, I have a lot of emotion, I have a lot of things, but then I bring my response that I wrote to AI, say, tell me what you think. And it starts giving me ideas, giving me different ways of saying it. I become a better person. I can write a better thing there. And I'm not a native speaker, but like with AI, I could do my things much faster. As a person who has English as a second language, I had to think a lot. I had to search a lot for every sentences from time to time. When I was posting on LinkedIn or somewhere, I had to revise it several times. Then now AI can help me a lot with that. I can become lazy and give it to it and like copy and paste and put it there, and then somebody comes to me, what the hell did you put there? Like I do that to my marketing person, by the way, from time to time. They put something there and say, like, this thing that you said is not related to our brand. It's not something that we want to say, but they use ChatGPT without reading it again. So those are the things. So to make it short, we can become superhuman with AI and build another level of human being, instead of sitting down and say AI is going to go above my head and going to be the best creature and I'm going to stay as I am. So that's how I'm seeing it.
Sounds like you're describing mindfulness.
Yeah.
Like as the difference, right? It's, are we using it to be more mindful?
Mm-hmm.
It can be more human.
Or are we using it to be less mindful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one's like Mecha Godzilla. I don't know what the other one would be, but okay. We have time for a few more questions. Go ahead.
Not a question, but
A comment,
I
yeah.
added another thing that we should hold on to
Yeah.
is our ability to build a vision. I think AI might not be, I mean, AI is operating with all the human text in the world that already exists, right? But only humans can think that, oh, we want to put a man on Mars.
Mm.
And similarly with, especially with people managers, founders, entrepreneurs, their superpower is to hold this big vision that nobody knows how to get to, right? And there's the visioning part and then there's the execution part. Execution we can use AI for. Like we build relationships, we care for our people and we together execute that vision. But we should hold on to that visioning capability because of AI sycophancy, it will keep us in the existing realm of current possibilities and not imagine new things.
Yeah, it won't force us to challenge ourselves.
And just to add on to that point, right? I mean, will AI evolve to think about that vision? Will AI evolve to put another AI in Mars? So I mean, if you think about AI, it's becoming super powerful. The last 2 years, I mean, 2 years, AI has evolved so much. There's so much computers going on. There's so many intelligent minds that are coming in. So I mean, in the next 2 years, the capabilities of AI is going to become 100 times. So, I mean, of course, I'm a people manager. We use AI in every front. And definitely, we're probably like 10 times or 20 times more productive than without AI. And it's very important. If you think about like that, I'm the CEO of a company. My goal is, how do I make this company? How do I take this company next? And in short answer, what I always think of is like, why don't I put like AI everywhere for every marketing, sales, every role, everything, so that actually moves text. But however, like after today's discussion, right? If it's gonna be everything AI, everyone can do it.
Yeah, becomes commodity.
Everyone can do it. So the capabilities or the value proposition of the company there has to be human element. Probably can think about that vision, which AI can't do. Probably that's providing some capabilities where the human can do which AI can't do. So adding those things probably can get there faster, but keep the value proposition like pretty intact. In my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone participated in AI Week this year. Some good conversations, and even going all the way back to July for Seattle Tech Week, there was a lot of discussion about how you create moats with AI, and at least back then, which feels like a million years ago now, July 2025, a lot of talk was centered around proprietary data, proprietary insights, proprietary techniques, and all of that ultimately came back to the humans, right? Not the algorithms.
Yeah, I really love that, mainly because that's what the differentiator is going to be in 2 years. The human's going to be the differentiator.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be doing AI, and your value proposition is, where's the human value add? Because all of this is going to serve humans.
Sure.
Can I throw a thing on that?
Yeah.
Because this is one of I was talking with one of the top Microsoft guys for AI. We were talking about humanity. I think we should be careful when we go, there's the value that AI brings, and so that we can now create the value that the human brings. Because now we've reduced humanity to just being a commodity that we have to increase the value of. And that's kind of meta, but I think that there's a danger in that. And I love the idea of when we talk about if you have children, we have dogs in our family. The efficiency and the value and the context, and I think Brian mentioned the value that comes with having kids is far beyond this singular analytical space. When we talk about humanity and being human, and we say we need to add enough value so that it stays in the game, would you say that about your kid? Would you say that for me? Would I say that about my dog? And that's why I say, stay human, even with as incredible as things can get, as effective or efficient as something can get. You have to choose. When is it simply just enough? And you're healthy, and you're happy, and you're growing, and you're searching. So I just, that's all I say, just be careful how much we do that to ourselves.
Yeah, this is a great example of the thing coaches will tell you sometimes that feel really hard to digest or accept. But the more you live with it, the more important it will become.
Yeah.
I want to maybe add on to that. It's maybe because the opportunity that gives us to be better humans. Because I think one of the points that the panelists made is that with the annual reviews or semi-annual reviews, people always say, "Why didn't I hear this 6 months ago?" And as a manager, you could do that, right? Every 2 weeks, you could give people feedback. And I think the difficulty is, number one, maybe you don't always have all the data, we kind of give that immediately. Or number two, it's that thing you're like, well, I feel a little awkward about it. Like they're in the middle of a project, and I don't have the habit of doing this. But if you're using AI to get rid of all the busy work, and then you can use AI to convince yourself that this is the right thing to do, we should build this habit. Right? This is just every 2 weeks we're going to do it. This has to be a one-on-one that we just have 5 minutes, or whatever, 5 minutes to always give feedback, and it can be something really tiny or something really big, and it's like a habit. So I think everyone knows you're supposed to do it, and I don't think most of us do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, what would it be like if we could all slow down just enough to have that 5-minute debrief after the meeting, so that you get the feedback now and not in 6 months? Yeah.
I just want to add something. I've seen executives who not mandate, but like an unofficially mandate, don't give bad feedback to people. You want to de-energize them. You want them to be motivated and more. Just motivate them and push them and say, you're good, until it's the time to do. So one other motivation for me was that, like, why would employees don't get this data? You should give them. So I've seen executives who, like, there was the third thing to what you said. Like, executives say, don't do it.
Kind of whitewashing.
Companies like where I was working, everybody's feedback is fake. Like the reviews are just like,
You don't want to de-energize people. Like a lot of leaders think that way. It's gonna hurt them later, but they think if I give bad feedback to people, they feel bad for a day or two. They don't feel good. They won't work for me. They don't think long term for that, and they don't think about human beings who are working for them. So I've seen that, and that's another thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Your AI product and thoughts on AI, we're a very kind of techy group for obvious reasons. Does the same solution, do the same tools work for Starbucks baristas, for the stockers at Fred Meyer, for the guys at Discount Tire swapping my tires? Does it work with, and you can collect data, there's still KPIs you can collect, I get that. Does it work the same way?
No. And that's why we focus on software teams. It can help with Starbucks. So we have, first we built the first MVP for us was not even a lot of AI in it. There was some, but and as a recommendation layer. It wasn't GPT yet. So we built up this recognition app that we can make it, and it was after COVID. So we wanted to create that serendipity of people giving each other positive feedback. So we built up something you can swipe right and left on a positive statement to each other, so that, but that based on that positive data, you can find out skill sets that you need to help with. And that can be definitely used in Starbucks. The idea actually came to us when we saw there was a shooting at Walmart in Texas, and somebody, one of the employees actually killed some other people, I think. And it was like a lot of people, we saw that interview, a lot of people say, hey, we knew something was off for the last 10 years. Nobody said anything. So we wanted to bring that up to the employee and get help for that employee who got to that point that did that. And like that's an extreme example. But I'm saying that you can provide that. Yes, it can be used, but our product as it is right now, we designed it very focused on software and tech people.
Now it also the differentiation there is in the level of performance you're trying to achieve. Certain aspects of performance will just flat out require, like I'm thinking about Federer, the U.S. Women's World Cup winning team, and so on. In order for them to be at that level of performance, it's not about the data, it's about the relationship. And so from the standpoint of going back to use the AI to free up the human to keep the relationship and pursue that avenue, not doing the nice thing, but doing the kind thing and saying, hey, you're falling off here right now. Come on, let's fix this. In that space, it's not about the technology. It's literally about the focus and the relationship that drives people to choose each other to go farther, faster. And so in the context, like I work with contracting construction companies and that kind of stuff. So they're not on Slack. Matter of fact, if you said, I want you on Slack and communicating about the jobs and projects, they're just going to say, F you, Paul.
Yeah.
They say F you, Paul, anyway. But the whole point is, so whatever mechanism, like if I said, I want you to swipe left and swipe right based upon whether or not your HVAC is functioning right, or you like your project manager and whatever else, they're just literally going to just give me the finger. Hey, did I swipe left enough? Did I do that? That's what
sounds like an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah. But to the point, wherever you're in, there's an avenue to come and kind of use some technology. Like we made, in my former company, we made software that could keep track of millions of assets over cell. And the app did it and it worked. We made it simple, we made it easy for somebody to use. And what we were able to find out, kind of like what Ali was talking about, was, we found out which teams were kicking ass. Where before we might have to wait for paper, for it to return, and then pull a big report. You just go, put it in your hand, hey, whoa, what do? Hey, go talk to the manager and find out why the team's having a tough time. And the manager's like, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out, yes, talk to the team. You get to the team, 360-ish. What's going on? And the team's like, we hate him.
So, as we bring it to a close, I will say thank you. Remember that question from the start? What's one thing you can do differently to use AI? You don't have to share.
Well, I wanted to share if they will.
Well, if anyone wants to, we got room for one or two, or maybe it's something to talk about when we break. But if you haven't figured out what that might be, give it a think. Give it a think, and maybe ask somebody else what they're thinking about. Paul, Melissa, Alireza, thank you so much. Let's give these folks a hand.
Thank you.
We have the room until 7:30, so make yourselves comfortable sitting here if you want. Go mingle, have more refreshments out in the hall. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Adam and Katya, and bringing us together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, I have one more request. I'm so sorry. I'll be really fast. We would love some feedback on the session today. So grab this QR code. I'll leave the screen here, just like this, so you can grab it in a few minutes if you want. Let us know what you liked, what you wish we'd done or covered that we didn't, and any other thoughts that you have. We are in a state of experimentation, so we'd love to know what else we should do to experiment. Thanks, everybody.
Do you want to tell people that you want to go somewhere? Or we could.
Yeah, if you want, like, I'm all for it.
Yeah. By the way, you guys